It was just an ordinary evening. The TV buzzed low in the background, casting a soft glow across the living room. I was sprawled on the couch, half listening, half dozing after a long day. That's when she sighed. One of those heavy, world-weary exhales. And without even looking at me, she said, almost offhand, "Sometimes I think I should have married my ex instead." She said it the way you'd mention the weather, like it was a stray thought, not worth dwelling on. But for me, it was a blade, a clean, casual slice straight through the chest. My stomach knotted, the air around me shifted, and I swear the hum of the TV warped into something distant, almost mocking. I didn't shout, didn't ask her what she meant. I didn't argue or demand an explanation. I just sat there for a moment, staring at her profile, her eyes still fixed on the screen, as if nothing had happened. My heart was screaming, but my face stayed still. Then, without a word, I stood. I grabbed my keys from the counter, slipped my shoes back on, and walked out. The slam of the door wasn't intentional, but it felt final, like punctuation. The cool night air hit my face as I slid into the car. My hands trembled on the wheel as I started the engine, the dashboard light painting my knuckles a sickly green. I drove without knowing where, through city streets, past neon signs, traffic lights blurring into streaks of red and yellow. My chest felt hollow, like something vital had been scooped out. Memories assaulted me as I drove. The extra shifts I worked so we could take vacations. The way I gave up my dream job because hers mattered more. The years I spent building the life she said she wanted. All of it came rushing back. Not as pride, but as a bitter reminder. I had been investing my entire soul into someone who, deep down, had been looking backward, not forward. I gripped the wheel tighter, anger rising, but it quickly faded into something colder, quieter, a clarity I hadn't expected. She had said the words out loud, carelessly, maybe, thoughtlessly, sure, but they were truth wrapped in accident. And once truth shows itself, you can't pretend it didn't happen. By the time I reached the edge of town, I wasn't even crying. My heart was too numb. I pulled into the parking lot of a nondescript hotel, walked inside, and asked for a room. No bag, no plan, just a credit card and a need for distance. The silence of that room was louder than any argument I could have started. She had spoken her piece. Now I would answer with mine. Silence. The hotel room smelled faintly of bleach and old carpet. I lay on the bed staring at the ceiling, phone buzzing endlessly on the nightstand. First it was a few texts. "Where are you? Are you okay?" Then a couple of missed calls. By midnight the tone shifted. Long paragraphs appeared on the screen. Apologies mixed with excuses. Little waves of panic wrapped in emojis. I didn't answer a single one. My thumb hovered more than once, but every time I pictured her face, casually tossing those words at me like they were nothing. I locked the phone again. She had lit the match, and now I was going to let the fire burn without lifting a finger to stop it. It wasn't the first time the thought of leaving had crossed my mind. The truth was, I'd been preparing for months, though I never wanted to admit to myself why. Little things had stacked up, the subtle digs, the way she compared me to people I'd never met, the quiet suspicion that if someone better came along, she'd trade me in. So I'd started setting aside money, a separate account, a leased apartment across town under my name alone. I told myself it was just a safety net, insurance. But now, lying there, her sentence still replaying in my skull, I knew exactly what it was, an exit plan, and she'd just given me the final reason to use it. The next morning, I called in sick to work. Then the next day, I requested time off. My colleagues didn't ask many questions, and I didn't give any. She, on the other hand, was unraveling. The texts kept coming, varying from frantic apologies to desperate anger. "I didn't mean it like that. You're being dramatic. Please just come home." Each message was a little crack in her control. Each voicemail revealed more panic in her voice. I watched them pile up but never press play. The power of silence was intoxicating. For the first time in years, I wasn't chasing after her approval or forgiveness. Word must have started to spread because a mutual friend reached out asking if I was all right. I simply said, "I'm fine, just taking time for myself." Nothing more. No accusations, no drama, just space. And while she clawed for answers, I quietly moved boxes into my new apartment. A couch, a mattress, a few clothes, the essentials. It wasn't much, but it was mine. It felt like breathing fresh air after years in a stale room. Every time I opened my phone and saw her name light up the screen, I let it ring. My silence was louder than any words I could have spoken. And deep down, I knew she was starting to realize that. By the fifth day, the story started leaking out. She'd gone to my family, crying about how I'd abandoned her without warning. But when they pressed for details, she had to admit what she'd said. And just like that, sympathy drained away. It's hard to paint yourself as the victim when the words came from your own mouth. I stayed silent. I didn't have to defend myself. Her sentence was enough. She tried her friends' necks, spinning different versions, but it always came back to the same truth. People stopped answering her calls. The safety net she thought she had began to collapse, thread by thread. And then came the practical side of things. The house, in my name. The car, my signature on the loan. The cards she swiped so freely, I froze them. Piece by piece, her illusion of control crumbled. For the first time, she saw just how much of her comfort had been built on the foundation I provided. Her messages grew more erratic. One moment, rage. You'll regret this. You're nothing without me. The next, guilt trips. After everything we've been through, you can't just leave me like this. And finally, desperation, please. I'll do anything. Just come home. On the 9th day, she showed up at my apartment. I opened the door to find her standing there, hair unwashed, eyes bloodshot, clothes thrown together. She looked smaller somehow, like the weight of her words had finally settled on her shoulders. She tried to hug me, but I stepped back. Her arms fell to her sides, trembling. Please, she whispered, her voice cracking. I didn't mean it. I swear I'll never say anything like that again. Just come home. For a moment, I felt the ghost of what we used to be. The laughter, the plans, the nights we stayed up talking about the future. But then I remembered how casually she'd gutted me in our own living room. I remembered how she'd spoken of another man while I sat right beside her. My voice was steady, almost calm. I'm not coming back. The divorce papers are already in motion. She broke then, collapsed right there in my doorway, sobbing into her hands, confessing that she thought I'd always forgive her, that she never believed I'd actually walk away. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't curse her or demand she suffer. I simply stepped past her, down the hall, and into the night air. The sound of her crying echoed behind me, but I didn't turn back. That was the end. Not with a fight, not with revenge, just silence, preparation, and the quiet dignity of a man who finally chose himself.